current perception of sales. What is it? Today we converse with Nick Holden, founder of ModularWalls, on his opinion of what this is. Nick, thank you for having a conversation with us today.
You're welcome.
Sales is an incredibly important topic for us.
Yes.
We'd like to hear your opinion on the current perception of sales.
Yep.
As founder of ModularWalls, you're obviously in the business of selling modular walls.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it difficult in the sales arena to sell your product?
Yeah, look, I mean, in the early stages, I started the company 20 years ago, and I was the sales team, I was the manufacturing team, I was everything in the company. So I probably, I had to learn to sell myself. I wasn't a salesman, I was an engineer, I was a machine builder. So my perception of sales as the company's grown from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40, to say 60, almost 70 people now, my perception's changed over the time. And I at the time, and when I was training a smaller team, my perception was they would sell my way. And I think that was a good way. We've got to where we were today, but was it the right way? Did I have any background? No. So as we interview now for salespeople, and we have a team of 10, 15 salespeople throughout our residential and commercial business, they're two very different business sectors. So the perception within those sectors is very different. One's a confidence-based sector in the residential side, where the person will never visit our factory, they'll never see our products, yet they'll buy a $5,000 flat pack offers. So it's very much confidence in the company, in the person, and in the solution. In the commercial side, that's a little bit more complicated. It's a very technical sales side. So my perception of salespeople, I like the salespeople we have. The internal perception is probably they're the boogeymen of the organization. They're always the one that are wrong. They're making mistakes. Yet they are one of the most important elements we have. We can make the best product in the world, but unless we can sell that through to the marketplace, and not only sell the product, but sell the brand, sell the company, sell the dream, I suppose, the modular dream, we've got nothing.
Your values in your company, your ethos,
Yep.
Obviously you believe in the product, you created it from scratch,
Sure.
you create a new segment.
Yep.
How do you instill that in your salespeople?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good question. And I believe, especially in these technical roles and the confidence roles, they have to know the product. They're not selling a widget. We're selling a very high-end product, into a marketplace which is traditional. We're trying to disrupt an existing fencing or infrastructure-based marketplace. So in that regard, every time we get a new starter, a new salesperson, they're put in the factory for a week, so they have to actually make the product. So they spend the time, they get to know all the components. We've got many different product lines, so that's a very important element of what we do. And then after the week in the factory, and before they even do any internal work, any work on our data systems, internal emails or CRMs, they'll then go out to site as well. So we give one of our installers free labor for the day, and they get to install a wall. So we probably don't do it enough, to be honest. I mean, is 2 weeks in that side of the business enough? No, ideally, but typically if we're recruiting, we need someone then and now. So in a perfect world, I would send them out to site for 3 to 4 weeks, and that really gives them the engagement. They get to talk to the end client, and they really get their head around what's going on, so they can have intelligent conversations with the customers.
Nick, what is your personal view of salespeople?
Yep, that's a broad question. Salespeople in general, if you're covering all industries in the world, I suppose, is not good. I'd say, obviously, like anything, you've got your good ones, your bad ones, and the ones that you want to buy from. Me personally, I don't like being sold to. I know what I want. I want to buy. So I want someone to facilitate that, and I'll gravitate towards that person. I'll pay more for an item if I've got confidence in the person. It's not a dollar value for me. So overall, my perception, I would say, is leaning towards the negative. And we try very hard here to bring that into the positive.
It's an unfortunate perception that they
Sure.
have. Why do you think they've got this perception, the salespeople?
That's another great question. I think because there is no formal qualification, they're driven by numbers purely. I shouldn't say that, that's a broad statement, but a lot of them are numbers driven. Like if you go into a Super Amart store or one of these stores, they're driven just to get their numbers up. They want to sell you that thing. It doesn't matter, you're going to walk out of there with a 20% discount. but they're driven to do that. Where if you walk into Bunnings, for example, and I walk down the aisle, the guy will give me advice on what I need, and then it's up to me whether I purchase that item or move on and purchase another item. And I prefer that type of selling. I want advice. I don't want to be sold to. And if I feel like I'm being sold to, then I've got to switch in my head, and I switch back and I start pushing. And instead of 20%, I want 50, and I'll walk. So it's sort of a bit of a, you stab me and I'm going to stab you back harder.
Nick, your business has a residential sales side and a commercial sales side.
Correct.
What is the difference in your mind between B2B sales and B2C sales?
So B2B for us, we're selling to a trade network. So we're selling to landscapers, fencers, builders. So typically they don't want to be sold to. They know what they want. They've got a solution. They want you to be reactive, very knowledgeable, educational to them, make suggestions, get it done, get them their price, and then they'll make a decision. So it doesn't matter how many times we follow up with these type of people, or we remarket to them. It doesn't matter. It's not an emotional decision to them. It's a commercial decision. So, but through education and through, I suppose, confidence in us, then they will choose us over a different product. Maybe if we're more expensive, because we can offer the right, I suppose, advice is the right word. In a consumer sense, where we'd sell them a DIY flat pack, and the accountant on a weekend is going to put 10 metres of wall up, which we've convinced them they can do through our videos and DIY guides, and they do. They do an excellent job. That is very educational, very, very confidence-based, because they won't come to our factory, they'll never even touch the product, so they're purchasing off our shop front, basically, which is our internet, our website, I should say. So they've gone into our shop front, and now it's up to our sales team then to convert, that inquiry through confidence-based selling. Well, I don't believe in harassment. We'll remarket to people digitally and all the rest, and we may follow up with a call or an email, but we're not pressure salesmen, and that's part of my ethos, I suppose, and that's not what I like. I suppose if I think we do the right thing, then the sales will come, and they have, and they do.
You've got quite an impressive sales team here, Nick. Do you find challenges recruiting salespeople into your business because of this perception?
Yes. Yep. So, and probably we're in Kurnell in New South Wales, so we have a location-based problem as well, where people don't want to travel to Kurnell, to do an office-based sales role. So yes, we do. We do get a lot of applications, but typically, you've got to filter through 100 applications to bleed it down to the 5 or 10 that you want to interview. Nowadays, I don't get involved so much in the interview process. I'll come in for the last final stage if it's a senior position. But yes, I mean, what do you judge salespeople against? What they did last, what they did, previously. I don't know, it's tough. So I would say for ModularWalls, I would first of all employ on their attitude more than anything, and their willingness, if that comes through in the interview, and then look at their sales experience secondary to that. So, but it'd be nice to have someone that had the sales experience and the attitude and the aptitude, and that sort of confidence that they can project to the customer. But it's tough, so you've got to keep looking. Sometimes we can interview 60 people and just keep going, and it's easy because you're desperate, because you need someone to fill that position. You'll go, right, I'll take the first one. And it is cliche that you say, hire slow, fire fast, but it's rock solid.
Nick, you've obviously got a lot of divisions in your business.
We do.
What do the other functions think of your sales function?
That's a good question. And very easily answered, because the sales are typically the one, that they'd fire their gun at. So the sales are always at fault. The sales are the ones that make a mistake with an order and the components. Sales are the ones that promise a customer too much that we can't deliver on. Sales are the ones that, didn't give them enough wall to finish their job, and then we get a call on the weekend from the technical line. So, but that's unfair. I mean, that is seeing the whole picture. That is the 1%ers, but they get judged on the 1%ers, not the 99%. They can hit their targets at the end of the month, and they'll get, praised by the upper management, the senior team, which is all good. But no one looks at what their customer feedback is. What's their rating being, which is something we're changing at the moment. So we're really putting a feedback loop into our process. So the customers themselves can rate their experience through sales. So we don't try to limit any complaints that we get. And then we can work on the areas that we need to work on without having to guess what they are. So we work very hard on our sales team, but are they the boogeymen of the organisation? Absolutely.
Nick, it's been incredible hearing your opinions on the current perception of sales. If we look forward into the future,
Yep.
what is your perception and what's your opinion of the future of sales?
That's a good question. Obviously, everything's going digital now, and I think from what we're seeing, and as a building product, people in the past would want to come and knock on it, kick it, but that doesn't happen anymore. So our digital platforms have got to be so much better than they ever were, almost virtual reality, to take people through the experience. And then our sales team, being an internal sales team, are really converting a customer. It's almost a customer service role as opposed to a pure face-to-face sales role. Even when I buy a car, now I walk into the dealership and I know what color I want, I know how much I want to pay, and I know that guy's just there to facilitate me, so to facilitate what I want. So unfortunately, I hate to say, my opinion is the face-to-face interaction is rapidly disappearing, and I can only see that getting more and more.
Just to elaborate on that,
Yep.
Nick, I can see that happening potentially in the transactional world. You're seeing a lot of disruptors in that place
Sure.
with technology.
Yes.
But what about your more complex sales? Do you see technology replacing people?
No. In our commercial sector, there's a lot of engineering. It's very solution-based. So we still do promote to get out to site, meet the guy face-to-face, and really form a relationship with that person. In that regard, the transactions are a lot higher. So if we can get a relationship, and I think it always comes down to, I like to call it jobs for the boys. That's the wrong term, but it is. If you can get the relationship with that person, they have confidence in you. It doesn't matter what your price is to a large degree. What we found, if your solution is correct, they think you as a person can deliver the solution for them. That's far more important.